Hello everyone and welcome to BrickVault. This is a video comparison between the beloved UCS Slave 1 Lego set number 75060, and the elaborate UCCS Ultimate Custom Collector Series Slave 1 from the designers Marshall Banana and Kevin J. Walter. These are both very large models built to accurate minifig scale, and they both have a lot to offer a serious Lego builder depending on their interests and visual preferences. I'm going to do my best to show you how these models compare to each other in terms of their aesthetic design and physical appeal, aka strength and build quality. Before I jump in, feel free to like this video if you enjoy this kind of in-depth Lego niche stuff. And similar to how I did a recent Falcon comparison video, let me just first disclose my relationship to these two builds, as there is no such thing as like an unbiased narrator. At BrickVault.toys, we do sell the instructions and parts list for the custom design. The project for optimizing this build for people to follow along has been happening for over a year. Back in February of 2021, I found my first email round of part list checks, and the designers have really been pushing themselves to strike that balance between buildable and just next level details. We worked on other projects with Marshall Banana and Kevin in the past. We trust their abilities and know they care a lot about making models that work well. Link to the much more in-depth video on the custom creation is in the description below. And as for the UCS model, this has been an excellent piece in our studio. I believe my brother bought this back when it first came out in 2015. He modded some of the details around the rotating arms, just purely aesthetic. That was around 6 years ago. So full disclosure, this isn't the exact UCS build. It is just a little bit different right in this area here, but for all intents and purposes, the model is going to be talked about like it's just the regular UCS 75060 design. I consider this part of my top 3 best Lego UCS Star Wars sets. The list for me goes second UCS Falcon 75192, then the Slave 1 in the second spot, and then the Shuttle Tidarium in the third place. Let me know what your top 3 list is in the comments below. No wrong answers unless you include Assault on Hoth. All right, let me just say too that if you think there isn't like a huge difference between these two models when you're looking at them side by side, or if you just simply prefer the look of the more traditional Lego building like on the official set, I totally get it. I think it's easy to strike the wrong tone in a comparison video, so let me just say that the technical accuracies and uber details aren't really what the Lego hobby is all about. It's just simply a build preference we and many of the designers we partner with mutually share. Now, it's fussy and it's challenging, and ultimately that's where we find a lot of the fun when it comes to building them. So I don't want to rattle off like a bunch of winning and losing points between the models. They were ultimately built with different underlying philosophies, and there were also a lot of pieces that simply just didn't exist back in 2015 that were used for this 2022 model. All of that aside, basically all the visual differences I'm going to point out on the custom creation somewhat skew in favor of more technical accuracy over the Lego set, but that doesn't flat out mean better. There is cost, build difficulty, ease of handling and stuff. So that's where I'm coming from in this video, and let's start off with the visuals. The Ultimate Custom Collector Series registers a bit smoother from far and near. This is true on the closer micro scale because the building techniques hide a lot of the Lego studs. There is one Lego acronym worth remembering here, that is SNOT, standing for studs not on top, but the technique name is a little reductive when it comes to the overall purpose of removing studs. The end goal is to try and make seamless, unbroken transitions between large flowing shapes. The custom model has fewer staggered layers of plates and tiles and bricks that make up the surface detailing as well. It's fairly subtle, but the large segments of assemblies marry just a bit closer together in the gray-green areas. You can see a few comparison shots along the top and bottom of the cockpit, for example. And on that micro scale, the texture of the dark red shell has a dramatically different build approach to achieve the same goal. When looking back at a few of these different spots, switching back and forth between the model, it overall has a very different look here. And of course, the trade-off for the custom design is that it's a bit more delicate, and if you push on the pieces a bit too hard, you can break them or just move them out of place and you gotta realign it. Now, the smooth texture for the custom design is also present for the macro larger scale when looking at the large dark red shape from afar, you can follow a perimeter line, a very smooth curving line all around the outside. The round shape is much more consistent as it outlines the whole base of the model, and the large shapes fall into place just a bit more fluidly across the entire surface. Also, I like to look at these two builds like right head on. There was something I noticed. The gray-green of the center assembly is much thinner on the custom build, and that makes the dark green half circles pop a bit more. It also helps highlight that there's that little thin point at the bottom of the Slave 1, and it's got a natural straight line that slowly spreads apart, leading all the way to the area above the cockpit. The gray-green really does flare out at the top there compared to the Lego set, and long story short, the smooth shaping of the Slave 1 and the unique series of round intersections are just finessed to a bit more of a specific and technical degree of accuracy for the custom model. Okay, let's actually flip them around now. The Slave 1 has quite a lot of exposed mechanical features compared to, well, most ships in the universe, and in some ways it almost feels like an exposed cross-section of a spaceship, like it was cut in half at some point. Now on the back you've got different thrusters and a couple of recognizable shapes between the two models, but pretty quickly the back detailing looks quite a bit different when you really do compare both builds. The custom design in general has a lot more greebles, and also with a different approach for how the stand connects to the model, the angle of this ship now plays a much bigger factor when it comes to viewing the creation from behind. There is simply more to see, both in terms of unique piece resolution for the custom build, and at the same time the whole area in the back here is completely free of obstructions. In general, the shapes found on the custom design follow very closely to the original Slave 1 model. One thing I really like here is that the original ILM model used wheel wells from a Porsche kit when they were building it for Empire Strikes Back. This encircled the thrusters in the top dish, and in the custom model there are Technic wheel well pieces used here to outline the same kinds of details. It's just kind of fun how some of the kit bashing aesthetics from way back in the day perfectly translated into Lego bricks, but I think it is time now to just jump onto some of the functions and how they compare between the two builds. There's only a few small differences. Maybe the biggest one though is the back compartment for the build has a seismic charge area where the Lego set does not. And now let me get lost in some extra nerdy details right now, because I thought I had a simple explanation for this next bit, but I got somewhat lost in a little bit of a rabbit hole. One side of the panel of the custom build has this little pop-out section for an ion cannon, while the other UCS Slave 1 has pop-out laser cannons on both sides. I actually don't know what is more correct or if it's possible to find out. I think the Boba Fett Slave 1 should only have this one ion cannon present. This was the idea of the Lego designers we worked with. When you look closely at the official cross-sections images here, you don't see the other side, but the description does say powerful ion cannon in the singular, so I do think it could have been just the one. And of course this cross sections was developed before you do see Jango Fett's Slave 1 in Attack of the Clones. Now the Lego official designer took the assumption that because the Jango Fett version of the Slave 1 has mirrored panels that open up, the original probably did too. Even in the official Lego description of this set, they call them hidden blasters, not hidden ion cannons, which leads me to believe he was most likely following the details from the later movie. But we do know that in the overall story of this ship, it does crash in season 2 of Clone Wars and gets rebuilt with the new color combo. No one knows for sure if both side panels can still open, because we never get to see it happen. And sorry, this was a really long-winded way to say we don't know for sure what's right. Both designers made decisions based on their understanding of the lore, and even then, it doesn't even matter, because in one of the Mando show episodes, if you remember, they completely retcon the ion cannon. Boba can just reroute an ion shot through his regular blasters at the bottom, and perhaps he replaced these panels with even different weapons that we have not seen. It does not matter. What we do know is that the designers we work with made the intention of only having one panel open, and we are moving on. Holy guacamole. At the bottom, there are fold-out torpedo launchers for the custom build. These are not present for the UCS model. Both of the main blasters can articulate. Both of the main arms can fold, though the transformation function of the custom design is a little less fluid here. You have to break a stud connection and let the arms sort of fall with the gravity. The seat for the inside also folds along with the arms on the custom design, and the internal details are a little bit more well closed off for this build as well, though I still do really like the interior of the original Lego set. Now, when it comes to the logistics of the model, hands down, the Lego set is way easier to handle. The base of the build is quite strong. It can be picked up from many different points, and you can also touch the red shell detailing without any chances of bending or breaking little pieces off here and there, which is certainly a possibility with the custom design. With a build like this, 99% of the time, it's going to be pretty much just a display piece, so it's not a huge factor for us, but there is that nice mentality of just knowing that you can pick up a model and not have to worry about maybe bending something out of place, which can certainly be in the back of your mind if, let's say, somebody who's never touched the model or doesn't know anything about it wants to try to pick it up. The custom model has over twice as many pieces present as the UCS design, and it's impossible to really quantify putting a number on, let's say, the difficulty for building a model, but the Slave one certainly has a lot more unconventional and complex design approaches that require a lot of attention, detail orientation, and patience. This custom model is over double the pieces, and as I record this video, it's around double the cost, though this is subject to change. In general, this follows pretty closely in line with just about any custom design that you should or could choose to build at some point in the future. They're usually a bit more expensive than a regular Lego set. So I am genuinely curious to know what you guys think about these two builds and how they differ, especially if you are new to this kind of thing and maybe stumbled across this video and somehow stuck around to the end. Let me know what you guys think about sort of this crazier, more detail-oriented, finicky nature of the custom building world of Lego bricks. As always, let me know what types of other builds you guys would like to see built in the studio for the future. If you enjoy our content, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, or share, and we'll see you next time at BrickVault.